Yeah, I think, overall, like we look at it offensively, we'd like to start faster, right? I thought we called something. I thought Lingby did a really good job all day with it, kind of keeping that defense off balance, but we just got to execute. So first, at the beginning of it, like, hey, execute, man. It's, we felt it was the 10-to-1 rule, right? 10 guys doing it right, one guy not. The one thing we loved is the offense stayed with it. Got to the red zone, did some really nice things in the red zone, played a little red zone lockout piece, and able to come with a win there. So again, great chance for them to see some early adversity, but continue to respond through the day. And I thought that's kind of how it went for the tight end room. A little adversity at the beginning of it, but then they responded well as the scrimmage went on.
Everybody knows about Jack, but there's obviously a lot of inexperience talent behind him. Kind of what are you seeing in those younger guys?
Yeah, I think just going down it, I think Michael's had as solid as a camp as anybody offensively. Mike Masunas, he's playing really, really well. He's just so steady, so smart. When he makes a mistake, he's the one that knows it first. Love what he's doing, in particular in the run game, but he's not a one-trick pony. He can do some stuff in the pass game. Mola's flashing every day. He's playing a lot better. He's just playing more confident. I think he's feeling, 6'7", 250 versus what he was last year. Confident with his hands. And then getting a chance to see Parachek and those guys. Parachek's a different animal now. It's fun. He's going to have some opportunity to work and get some things done. And then so on down the line, it's just, hey, those guys got to get reps and got to get better.
What does Jack do that other tight ends can't, or that the young tight ends can learn from him?
I think it's not so much what he can do that they can't. I want the learning piece from him. He's a very savvy kid. You tell him something once, and he does it. He doesn't need the whole, hey, unless you get this, unless you get this, unless you get this. He just understands it. He's a very good field player. Route game, I think what's fun with him is he can win in man, he can win in zone. In particular in zone, because he's so good at feeling for the soft spot. And then because he is explosive, it actually helps him in the run blocking. And really how he goes about it. What you want those young guys to learn from him is, because the guy's coming in, possible 3-year starter, he's still taking notes like he's a freshman. How he goes about it, how he communicates, what he's thinking. It's kind of what I want those guys to be thinking.
Does Jay Cohen work with you guys?
Yeah.
What's that like? Do you have to coach him a little differently? And just
well, it's a different position for sure. Jay's a really explosive player, so it's been kind of fun watching him run around and get it. Now it's always funny, I think, when you switch a defensive guy to offense, because it's not so much, okay, here's the plays. It's a little bit of like, this is how you tie your shoe. This is how you read a defense, right? Not an offense, a defense, right? This is a head-up technique, all those. So he was kind of, drinking through a fire hose early on, just trying to think about it. Defense, you get one call. Offense, it's this, and this. Really you only have to listen to 2 of those things. But just for him to learn that, I think he's finally kind of gotten over that hump. Now he's really playing this. Really you only have to listen to 2 of those things. But just for him to learn that, I think he's finally kind of gotten over that hump. Now he's really playing fast, and you saw it a little bit in the scrimmage. I thought you saw it today when it was better days.
Athletically, what made him the fit where it's like, okay, let's try that guy?
Change of direction, he's fast, we're not looking for maybe the old school 6'3", 255-pound fullback. We kind of want that athletic guy, maybe played a little bit of running back in high school, linebacker. Side to side is as good as he is, straightforward. He's just got some quick twitch in him. I think he hit 20 miles an hour the other day in practice, and he wasn't running down on kickoff. He's just running. So some of that, a little bit more of that athletic feet.
Did he have that background at all, carrying the ball or anything?
Yeah, in high school, yeah. I think maybe not as much carrying the ball, right? But he may tell you he did. Yeah.
What, in the future, what do you want to target in that position when you as you recruit?
Yeah, we really look, it's kind of ironic, that position's hard to find. I think our level, I think you ask the NFL, same thing. A lot of times we're not afraid to look at like option QBs in high school. Maybe those 6'1", 6'2" QBs that 210 pounds and are running a bunch. Oh shoot, he just ran him over with his shoulder. Generally those guys are going to have some good football IQ and be able to translate and understand it. and just kind of those intermediate athletes, you know. If this guy were 6'5", he'd probably be a really good tight end, but he's 6'2". All right, let's get him to 235, 240 and see what he can do. Yeah, Tyneal, you know, he's not long-term, but he's been down for us. The thing I love about Tyneal, obviously him being his 7th year, like he's seen a lot of ball, right? So he's similar in that aspect, like he gets it, right? So he can kind of be one of those guys where, you know, we get done with something and maybe a young guy messed up, hey, go talk to Hop, you know, and Hop will get him right. But we're excited to get him back, see what he can do for us, see how he fits.
Did you expect Masunas to take another big leap after spring football? Did you expect what you see right now?
Yeah, I think he's, you know, Masunas surprised the heck out of me in spring, and I don't mean that, you know, I expected less of him. I just, you know, the way he plays it, the way he goes about it, I was really, really intrigued with in the spring, and he's kind of continued that. He's just so solid, you know, everything he does, like he gets it, he gets leverage, he gets coverage, he gets defense, he gets offense. It's just kind of fun when you got a guy like that, because then you can speak the 401 class and not the 101 class to him.
Speaking of that a little bit, in your experience, how long does it sort of take typically a guy to learn this offense at your position?
Yeah, I don't think this is an easy offense to learn for the tight end, but I do think it's advantageous to learn for the tight end because there's probably a little bit more over half of the NFL running a similar offense. So it's going to set you up nicely. It takes a minute, but once you understand what we're trying to do with the system, it gets easier. Again, we might have 10 words in a huddle, right? You really only got to listen to 3. You know, just stuff like that, getting comfortable with that. So it takes some time, but generally reps help pretty good with that.
First year, is it possible for anyone to master it really in the first year? Is it
Yeah,
sort of
I mean, I've had 3 guys do it, you know, year 1, you know, maybe they weren't the immediate starter, but I definitely had guys that did it, that didn't come in early too, right? Like they came in June and learned it, and it just takes work, takes time, takes extra study.
You talked about it in the spring, but after a few months now, any updates on how recruiting in the Midwest, how that process?
Oh, I love it, it's awesome. You get to go down, hang out in Ohio for 3-4 days. Are you kidding me? It's awesome. Ohio high school football. Got to go spend some time in my old college stomping grounds, Wisconsin. And then you get to recruit, you know, the state of Michigan, you know, really, really good high school football. It's been a lot of fun. To me, it doesn't feel like a new landscape, but it almost does just because I haven't been in it for so long. So it's kind of cool seeing those older high schools, maybe that I knew growing up playing against, or even my own high school going home and seeing what's going on football.
You've been through this now as a player and a coach. When you get to this point in camp where you have one scrimmage, you kind of got an idea, the next one's coming up. Coach talks about it being a separator week. How do you as a player maybe approach that?
Yeah, I think when you're a player, like, I think your job is not to put too much stress on yourself. You know what you got to do. The more you stress out about it, the tighter you're going to play, right? So to me, if I'm a player, I'm just doing my process that I've done. That's helping me, right? How I study, what I study, right? What the film I'm watching, right? If I want to separate myself, okay, all right, 1, my process better be elite, 2, right? And 2, just go about that process and trust it, right? You know, I tell those guys all the time, I don't need Superman to show up for the scrimmage, right? I just need the best Veli, Masunas, whoever, right? Like, just give the best version of yourself. And I think that's how they got to approach it. If they approach it where they're walking on eggshells, man, I think that's where you see some guys that are afraid to make mistakes. That's not what we want. Easy. Oh, sorry, one more.
You go against defensive ends, your group
Yeah.
squad in practice. Any of those defensive ends are Russians?
Oh, yeah, they're doing really, really well. I think Bogle's taken a step. He's just so long and like athletic, you know, and he's not afraid to be physical. Q shows up a bunch to the field. He's a really good long player that plays with really good instincts. You know, what those guys do defensively, they switch up enough on you to where, you know, it's not always going to be that one look. Those 2 guys have probably been the biggest that have shown up. You know, even freshman-wise, it's kind of cool to see Kai Burnett made some plays. We don't go against this guy, but Mike Sean, I mean, that guy's a monster. I mean, absolute utter monster. So it's been cool to see those guys, and again, it's kind of sharpened that iron with iron a little bit. There's been some good battles, for sure. Even, didn't you look at the linebacker room? I know Coach Smith just talked about it, but, you know, I always joke with those guys, they're my favorite position on the team, man. They got some depth, they got some good dudes, smart, just football players.